Colorado is known for its majestic mountains, winding roads, and breathtaking views. But not all roads are safe after dark. Some roads hide more than sharp curves and cliffs. They hide the echoes of accidents that never left. The cries of travelers who vanished without a trace. The shadows of spirits doomed to roam the mountain passes forever. Tonight, we venture into the highlands and valleys. We will drive the roads where headlights fade into darkness. Where fog rolls thick across the pavement. And where the restless dead may ride alongside you. Take a deep breath. The mountains are alive after sunset. Greetings, my friend. Thank you for joining me on this chilling journey through Colorado's haunted mountain roads. Tonight, we will explore 20 roads where travelers have reported ghostly encounters, inexplicable noises, and figures that vanish into the mist. Some of these roads were once paths for miners, loggers, and pioneers. Others were created in modern times, but tragedy has marked them nonetheless. Many deaths occurred here. Accidents, disappearances, and sometimes violence. And now, the mountain roads themselves seem to remember. Imagine driving alone, headlights cutting through the darkness. A fog rolls in, thick and cold. You see a figure on the side of the road. You slow down. It lifts its arm, pointing. You blink, and it is gone. Some roads hold spirits that warn. Others are home to vengeful souls. And some simply enjoy the company of the living. Now, before we start this journey, I want to ask you a question. If you saw a ghostly figure on a remote mountain road, would you stop and investigate? Or would you drive faster and never look back? Trail Ridge Road winds through the high passes of the mountains, a ribbon of asphalt cutting across ridges and valleys that stretch as far as the eye can see. During the day, sunlight glints off rock faces, and the air is crisp and clear, filled with the scent of pine and the distant echo of rushing streams. Travelers stop at overlooks to take in the sweeping views, the landscape both beautiful and imposing, a reminder of nature's grandeur. But as evening descends, the road transforms. Shadows lengthen across the pavement, and fog creeps into the curves. Reducing visibility and cloaking the landscape in gray mist. The wind carries a chill, whistling through the passes, and the isolation of the high road becomes more apparent. It is here, amid the quiet and the fog, that reports of the vanishing hitchhiker occur. Drivers tell of seeing a young woman standing near the roadside, dressed in white. She is often described as pale, almost ethereal, with hair catching the last light of day or the glow of headlights. Travelers often pull over, compelled by a mixture of concern and curiosity. And the woman enters the car, speaking in soft, almost whispered tones. She gives a destination, sometimes a nearby town, sometimes a more distant location, yet there is a weight to her voice, a sense that her journey is not entirely ordinary. The experience is disorienting. As the car moves along the winding road, the temperature seems to drop. And the air inside the vehicle feels heavier. The hum of the engine is accompanied by an uncanny silence, as if the world outside has receded. Conversation is minimal, and even the act of driving feels charged with an unspoken tension. Travelers describe glances to the rearview mirror revealing only empty space where the passenger had been moments before. The moment of disappearance is subtle yet undeniable. The hitchhiker vanishes without warning, leaving the car cold, silent, and often with an unexplainable chill lingering in the cabin. Windows remain closed, doors locked, and no trace of the young woman is found on the road. The effect is both startling and profound, a sudden confrontation with the impossible. Those who experience it are left with questions, and a lingering sense of wonder and unease that lasts long after leaving the high passes. The moment of disappearance is subtle yet undeniable. Trail Ridge Road itself contributes to the phenomenon. The elevation, the curves, and the isolation create an atmosphere ripe for mystery. Fog obscures the surroundings, turning familiar rock formations into looming shapes. Shadows dance in headlights, and the play of light and darkness enhances the sense that reality is shifting, if only momentarily. The environment amplifies the encounter, making the vanishing hitchhiker seem both real and unreal, present yet elusive. Witnesses report a mix of fear and empathy during the encounter. The hitchhiker's demeanor is never threatening, often quiet and somber, as though carrying the weight of a story untold. Her presence is magnetic, compelling attention and care, yet the disappearance leaves drivers grappling with disbelief and awe. The emotional resonance of the encounter is heightened by the isolation of the road, where help is distant and the mountains themselves seem to hold their breath. The legend has persisted for decades, with each retelling adding subtle variations. Some claim to see the woman standing at the same curve where another vanished years before. Others describe her appearing in the rearview mirror before disappearing entirely. The consistency of the core experiencia, the young woman in white, the whispered destination, and the sudden vanishing creates a narrative that is both haunting and enduring. Sensory details play a central role in the encounter. The cold touch in the car, the sudden silence, and the weight of the air all contribute to the perception that something beyond ordinary explanation is at work. Drivers report heightened awareness, noticing sounds or movements in the fog that would normally go unnoticed. Every element of the road, the elevation, the fog, the chill blends into a cohesive and unforgettable experience. Attempts to document the vanishing hitchhiker are rarely conclusive. Cameras capture only fleeting shadows, and recordings of sound often yield nothing beyond ambient noise. The phenomenon exists most vividly in person, as an interplay of perception, environment, and presence. Memory preserves the encounter more clearly than any device, leaving witnesses with an indelible impression of mystery and wonder. As dawn approaches, the high passes return to their usual calm. Fog lifts, sunlight restores clarity, and the road appears empty and ordinary once more. Yet those who have encountered the hitchhiker carry the memory, the sudden chill, and the sense of having witnessed something beyond understanding. Trail Ridge Road becomes more than a scenic passage, where the vanishing hitchhiker endures as a silent testament to the unknown. For travelers driving these high passes after dark, there is the possibility of picking up a pale figure in white, hearing a whispered destination, and experiencing the vanishing that has puzzled and fascinated witnesses for generations. A haunting reminder that some encounters on the road cannot be explained, only experienced, remembered, and retold. Guanella Pass winds through the rugged mountains, a landscape of sheer cliffs, narrow paths, and abandoned mining shafts. By day, the pass is a breathtaking scene of nature, with pine forests stretching along the slopes and sunlight glinting off the rocky outcrops. By day, the pass is a breathtaking scene of nature, with pine forests stretching along the slopes and sunlight glinting off the rocky outcrops. But when night falls, the mountains take on a different character. Shadows lengthen, the wind whispers through the trees, and some say the past returns to walk these cliffs once more. Shadows lengthen, the wind whispers through the trees, and some say the past returns to walk these cliffs once more. Locals and travelers have long reported seeing figures moving along the pass after dark. At first, they appear as distant lights, flickering and shifting along the rocks. Lanterns glow in the darkness, held by men dressed in the clothing of a bygone era. They move with purpose, navigating narrow ledges and climbing over obstacles, their actions precise yet fleeting. These are the phantom miners of Guanella Pass, shadows of workers who toiled and sometimes perished decades ago. Witnesses describe the scenes as both fascinating and unnerving. The miners seem unaware of the living, engaged in their work as if time has turned back to the early days of the pass. Some appear to carry ore, others manipulate tools, and a few enact accidents that mirror tragic events from the past. A slip, a fall, a moment of struggle. These events are brief yet vivid, leaving observers with a sense of awe and unease. Then, just as suddenly as they appeared, the figures vanish, leaving no trace except the faint glow of the lanterns fading into the night. The phenomenon is most pronounced on quiet nights, when the wind is low and the mountains hold their breath. Fog sometimes rolls in from the valleys, softening the cliffs and making the lantern lights appear even more ethereal. The shadows move through the mist, creating the impression of a living scene frozen in time. Observers often feel drawn in, compelled to follow the figures along the path, yet every attempt to approach results in the miners disappearing, leaving only empty rocks and the echo of distant footsteps. The history of Guanella Pass provides context for these ghostly apparitions. Mining in the region was dangerous, with accidents, rockslides, and sudden collapses claiming the lives of many men. Those who perished are remembered in stories passed down through generations. The haunting is a reminder of the risks of labor and the enduring imprint of human effort on the landscape. Observers often report a mixture of feelings during these encounters. There is wonder at the clarity of the figures, the flicker of lantern light, and the detailed movements that mirror real work. There is tension, a sense of being in a space where the boundary between past and present is thin. There is also reflection, an awareness of the lives lost and the dangers faced in an era when the mountains were as unforgiving as they were beautiful. The cliffs and paths themselves seem to amplify the experience. Narrow ledges create moments of suspense, where a slip could be fatal. And the sound of footsteps echoing against rock faces enhances the realism of the scene. The wind carries whispers that resemble human voices, the clatter of tools, and the occasional murmur of labor. Each movement of the phantom miners feels purposeful, a silent narrative playing out against the dramatic backdrop of the pass. Witnesses vary in the duration and intensity of their encounters. Some see the figures briefly from a distance, illuminated by lantern light, and then disappear into the darkness. Others follow along the cliffs for minutes at a time, watching as the miners move through repetitive motions, enacting tasks and accidents from a long-gone era. The unpredictability is part of the haunting's allure, making every sighting unique while maintaining consistent elements, the lanterns, the miners, and the replay of historical labor. The phantom miners are not threatening. Their presence is solemn, sometimes tragic, but never aggressive. Their lanterns they hold illuminate portions of the cliffs and paths, guiding the eyes of the observer and creating a visual narrative that is both haunting and captivating. The flicker of light, the careful steps, the brief moments of perilla adds to the cinematic quality of the experience. As night deepens, the figures eventually vanish completely, leaving only the dark cliffs, the empty paths, and the memory of glowing lanterns against rock and mist. The story of the phantom miners endures, passed along by locals and travelers, a blend of history, legend, and the unseen. Guanella Pass remains a place where the past seems never far away, and where the echoes of human effort continue to move among the cliffs, carrying the memory of work, danger, and the enduring presence of those who walked these paths long before. In the quiet of dawn, the mountains return to stillness. The lantern lights are gone. The shadows have receded. And the pass appears as it always has by day. Yet the memory lingers. The story of the phantom miners lingering in the minds of those who witnessed them. Guanella Pass remains both a natural wonder and a stage for the unseen. A place where history, human endeavor, and mystery converge beneath the glow of lantern light in the darkened cliffs. Mount Everest's scenic byway winds through the high Rockies, a road carved into steep cliffs and rugged landscapes. During the day, drivers marvel at the sweeping views, snow-capped peaks, and the endless sky stretching above. But as fog rolls in, descending like a living veil over the curves and switchbacks, the byway transforms. Visibility drops, silence deepens, and the atmosphere becomes heavy with the sense of history and unseen presence. Years ago, a driver lost their life on one of these foggy curves. The accident was sudden and tragic, leaving behind a memory etched into the road itself. Locals tell stories of the scene, speaking of the car that failed to navigate the bend, of headlights that vanished into the mist, and of a life abruptly ended. Over time, these accounts became part of the lore surrounding Mount Evans, a cautionary tale and a ghost story that persists along the byway. Today, visitors report strange occurrences at the same curve. Cars are seen stopped in the middle of the bend with no one inside. The headlights flash intermittently, piercing the fog, then vanish as suddenly as they appear. The vehicles seem intact, yet completely abandoned, leaving those who witness them with an eerie sense of presence. Some describe the lights as shimmering, almost aware of the living observers, creating a moment of tension that is hard to shake. The fog amplifies the mystery. Sounds are muted, creating an uncanny stillness. Even the wind seems to soften, carrying only the faint echo of tires on asphalt or the distant call of a bird. In this environment, the presence of the drowned driver feels tangible, as if the road itself remembers the tragedy and manifests it for those who travel too close to the past. Witnesses describe the experience as unsettling yet compelling. Some feel compelled to stop and observe, drawn by curiosity and the need to understand. Others experience a sense of urgency, a subtle warning to proceed carefully. No one sees a driver, no one can touch the vehicle, and yet the occurrence is real and undeniable for those who encounter it. It is a ghost story told not in words, but in light, motion, and the eerie absence of life where it is expected. The phenomenon does not occur every night, but when it does, it leaves a lasting impression. Observers often feel a connection to the tragedy, imagining the driver who lost control and the suddenness of the accident. The ghostly lights serve as a reminder of the fragility of life and the lingering resonance of events tied to specific locations. The byway itself becomes a stage where memory and reality intersect, and where the past is never truly gone. Accounts vary in detail, yet share a common thread. The car appears at the curve, its headlights momentarily illuminating the foggy road. Sometimes the lights flicker, as if signaling to passing travelers. And then, just as suddenly, it disappears, leaving only the empty road and the lingering sense that something unseen has passed. Travelers often report a mixture of fear and fascination. The byway becomes more than a road. It is a space where history, memory, and spectral manifestation converge. Observers leave with heightened awareness, sensing that the mountains hold stories beyond human understanding and that the road remembers events long after they occur. Mount Evans' scenic byway at night carries a weight beyond its physical curves. The fog, the cliffs, and the quiet work together to create an atmosphere where the drowned driver's presence can emerge. Each encounter is unique, yet every witness describes a similar feeling of awe, tension, and connection to something beyond the visible world. The lights of the phantom car appear, flash, and vanish, leaving behind the memory of a life and a moment that refuse to be forgotten. As dawn approaches and the fog lifts, the road returns to its ordinary state. Yet the stories persist, passed from traveler to traveler, growing into legend. The drowned driver becomes part of the identity of Mount Evans, a spectral reminder of human vulnerability and the endurance of memory. Travelers continue along the winding curves, aware that history sometimes manifests in unexpected ways. And that the mountain road holds secrets visible only to those who pay attention to the silence, the fog, and the fleeting glow of headlights that belong to no one. The drowned driver of Mount Evans' scenic byway remains an enduring presence, a spectral echo that transforms a curve into a site of mystery and reflection. Each night, when fog descends and the world grows still, the road may reveal the phantom car, stopped yet alive in memory. Observers glimpse the headlights, feel the presence, and witness a story that transcends time, reminding all who travel the byway that some lives and events leave marks that refuse to fade, forever etched into the landscape and the consciousness of those who pass by. Independence Pass stretches high into the mountains, a winding road that cuts through rugged peaks and steep cliffs. By day, it is a place of breathtaking beauty, where the sunlight illuminates jagged rocks and snow-capped summits. By night, the pass takes on a different character, one that is quiet, isolated, and steeped in an uneasy stillness. The wind sweeps through the canyons, carrying distant echoes that sound like whispers, footsteps, or cries that seem to come from the shadows. It is on these late nights that travelers report hearing the piercing sound of a woman screaming. The voice is said to rise suddenly, echoing across the cliffs and bouncing from peak to peak. Hikers and drivers alike describe the scream as chilling, filled with fear and urgency, carrying through the cold night air and leaving an impression that lingers long after the sound fades. Those who hear it often pause, frozen, unsure whether to move toward the sound or retreat to safety. Some witnesses claim to see her silhouette along the edge of the road. A figure appears fragile and faint in the darkness, often standing where the asphalt meets the drop of the mountainside. Her movements are subtle, almost hesitant, as if she is caught between reaching out for help and vanishing back into the shadows. The figure is elusive. When approached, whether on foot or by vehicle, she disappears as suddenly as she appeared, leaving no trace except the memory of her presence and the echo of her scream. The isolation of Independence Pass intensifies the experience. The road twists and turns along steep cliffs, and the mountains amplify every sound. The howling of the wind mixes with the faint rustling of rocks and trees, making it difficult to distinguish the natural from the supernatural. In these conditions, the scream feels closer than it is, as if it is right beside the observer. Yet when the area is searched, nothing is found. The effect is disorienting, heightening the sense of tension and mystery that surrounds the pass. Local legend suggests that the screaming woman is the spirit of someone who met a tragic fate along these cliffs. The stories vary. Some say she was a traveler who lost her life in a storm. Others claim she was a resident who disappeared while hiking alone, her cries echoing through the mountains ever since. While historical records are sparse, the persistence of the sightings and sounds has cemented her presence in local lore. Her apparition and scream are now part of the character of Independence Pass, a reminder of danger, loss, and unresolved stories carried by the wind. Those who have encountered the figure describe a strange mix of fear and sorrow. The scream is not malicious, but desperate and heart-wrenching, conveying emotions that transcend words. Her silhouette is often seen as small and vulnerable against the vastness of the mountains. Observers report feeling a weight in the air, a heaviness that seems to press against the chest, as though the mountains themselves acknowledge her presence. The screaming can occur at any hour, often when the road is deserted, or linger long enough to instill a sense of unease and curiosity. Whether by vehicle or on foot, invariably find that she vanishes, leaving only an empty stretch of road and the fading echo of her cry, creating a story that continues to be shared among hikers, travelers, and local residents. The environment of Independence Pass plays a significant role in the experience. The steep drop-offs, jagged rocks, and narrow shoulders create an atmosphere of tension. Every sound, whether natural or unexplained, is magnified. The faint light of headlights or flashlights casts moving shadows that can make the unseen feel present. In these conditions, the screaming woman becomes a vivid and unforgettable figure, inhabiting the intersection of perception and imagination. Witnesses often report a lingering sensation after the encounter. The scream echoes in memory, and a quiet unease persists as they continue along the road. Even in daylight, the stretch of Independence Pass associated with the sighting seems charged with a subtle tension. A reminder of the mountain stories and the presence that continues to move unseen among its peaks. The screaming woman embodies the connection between tragedy and memory, a spectral echo of lives lost and the enduring power of unresolved events. Independence Pass remains a place of natural beauty and danger. The mountains hold both breathtaking vistas and the quiet mysteries of the night. The screaming woman moves within this space, her presence fleeting yet unforgettable. A reminder of the fragility of life and the lingering impact of those lost too soon. Travelers who hear her cry, or glimpse her silhouette, carry with them a memory of the past that is both haunting and profound. A story of the mountains that is whispered across generations, echoing along the road and into the imagination of all who dare to listen. Loveland Pass winds through towering mountains, a serpentine road carved into cliffs and valleys that stretch for miles. During the day, sunlight glints off the snow-capped peaks, and the roar of wind through the passes mixes with the distant hum of traffic. Motorcyclists and travelers are drawn to the road for its scenic views and the challenge of its curves, the thrill of riding along edges where the world seems to drop away. As evening approaches, the atmosphere shifts. Shadows stretch across the pavement. And the fading light casts long, dark shapes across the mountainsides. The air grows colder and thinner, carrying the scent of pine and the distant echo of rushing streams. Isolation becomes more pronounced. The roar of engines and tires on asphalt standing out against the quiet of the high elevation. It is here that reports of the shadow rider emerge. Motorcyclists describe the experience as sudden and surreal. While navigating the curves of Loveland Pass, they see a figure appear alongside them. The rider is shadowy, almost indistinct, blending into the darkness of the evening. No motorcycle is visible beneath or behind the figure, yet the presence is undeniable. It mirrors the movements of the motorcyclist, maintaining pace along sharp turns and steep inclines with uncanny precision. The sensation is disorienting. Observers feel an immediate tension, a mix of fear and fascination, as the figure accelerates alongside them. The wind shifts as if reacting to the presence, and the road seems momentarily altered, the perception of distance and speed changing in subtle ways. Headlights and mirrors reveal nothing solid, only fleeting shadows that vanish when approached directly. The shadow rider is both there and not there, a phenomenon that defies explanation yet feels startlingly real. The mountain environment enhances the encounter. Cliffs drop away to unseen depths. And mist often rises from the valleys, curling around the rider and motorcyclist alike. Light reflects unpredictably off snow, ice, and metal, creating illusions that make the figure appear and disappear in moments. Every curve, shadow, and incline contributes to a sense that the road itself is a stage for the unexplained, where reality is subtly altered by the presence of the shadow rider. Witnesses describe a range of emotions during the encounter. The initial shock gives way to heightened awareness, the rider's senses sharpen to every detail of the road and surroundings. The shadow rider's acceleration feels purposeful, almost as if the figure is guiding or testing the motorcyclist. Yet the experience is never aggressive. There is no collision, no threat beyond the surreal awareness of being observed and matched by something beyond comprehension. The figure vanishes as suddenly as it appears. One moment, it rides alongside the motorcyclist, the next, the shadow is gone, leaving only the hum of the engine and the cold mountain air. The disappearance is immediate, without sound or trace. And the road feels emptier than before. Riders often recount a lingering chill, a sensation of being watched even after the figure has disappeared. And a sense that the encounter has left a permanent mark on the memory. Accounts of the shadow rider have persisted for years. Different riders describe similar experiences. Appearance on curves or straightaways. No motorcycle, precise mirroring of movement. Acceleration alongside, and sudden disappearance. The consistency of these reports suggests a phenomenon that is not tied to individual perception alone, but to the road itself, its isolation, and perhaps something that exists at the edges of the visible world. Sensory details heighten the encounter. The wind whistles differently, the temperature drops sharply, and shadows seem to lengthen unnaturally along the pavement. Headlights illuminate the figure in fleeting glimpses, and mirrors occasionally catch a second shadow that is not their own. Headlights illuminate the figure in fleeting glimpses, and mirrors occasionally catch a second shadow that is not their own. The interplay of sight, sound, and physical sensation creates an immersive experience that is difficult to forget and even harder to explain. Efforts to capture the phenomenon on camera are often inconclusive. Photographs show only darkness, streaks of light, or vague blurs. Video recordings rarely provide clarity, leaving only the memory of the motorcyclist and the narrative of the shadow rider. The encounter exists most vividly in person, a blend of perception, environment, and mystery that cannot be fully conveyed through technology. Loveland Pass becomes more than a scenic route for those who have experienced the shadow rider. It transforms into a place where the ordinary world intersects with the unexplained. Where isolation, elevation, and natural beauty converge to create a setting ripe for mystery. Each encounter is unique, yet all share the same essential elements: a shadow, a presence, the uncanny mirroring of movement, and the sudden, impossible disappearance. For motorcyclists and travelers along Loveland Pass, there is the possibility of witnessing the shadow appear, feeling the acceleration alongside them, and experiencing the vanishing that has fascinated and unsettled witnesses for generations. The shadow rider remains an enduring presence on this high mountain road. A mysterious figure at the edge of perception. And a reminder that even in the midst of familiar landscapes, the unknown can emerge without warning. Kebler Pass winds through dense forests and steep slopes, a place where nature dominates and the air carries the crisp scent of pine and earth. By day, the pass is known for its vibrant scenery, with sunlight filtering through leaves and streams reflecting the sky. Travelers often pause to admire the colors and the quiet majesty of the mountains. But when fog descends, the pass transforms. Thick, rolling mist blankets the trees and roadways, swallowing the landscape and creating an atmosphere where reality feels suspended. It is in this fog that witnesses report seeing the fog walker. Figures emerge from the mist, pale and wet, moving silently along the roadside or through the trees. They appear almost as if rising from the ground, their forms indistinct at first, but growing clearer as they approach. The effect is unsettling. The figures do not interact directly, yet travelers often feel a presence, a subtle awareness that something or something is nearby, following each step. Those who encounter the fog walker describe a haunting stillness in the air. The normal sounds of the forest rustling leaves, distant birds, the wind and the pinesa seem muted. The fog absorbs sound, creating a bubble of quiet around the figures. Travelers report a sense of being observed, of an invisible gaze tracking their movements, even when the figures appear only in the corner of their vision. This tension lingers, heightening the sense of unease and mystery. The appearance of the fog walker is unpredictable. Some see a single figure moving slowly along the road. Others report multiple shapes, gliding through the mist with coordinated motion, as if moving together with purpose. As if moving together with purpose. The figures are humanoid but faint, their wet outlines catching the limited light and reflecting it in ghostly shades. Witnesses describe an otherworldly glow, subtle yet undeniable, emanating from the forms as they move in silence. The origin of the fog walker remains a mystery. Some speculate the figures are spirits of those lost to the pass in storms, accidents, or the harsh wilderness, rising in the fog to relive their final moments. Others suggest a natural explanation, the mind playing tricks in low visibility, or mist interacting with shadows and reflections. Yet the consistency of reports over decades suggests something more than mere imagination. The fog walker has become a legend, a presence that shapes how travelers perceive the pass after dark or in dense weather. Encounters are described with vivid details. The figures move slowly but deliberately, gliding rather than walking. Travelers feel a chill in the air as the figures pass, a sudden drop in temperature that seems localized around the shapes. Their presence conveys an unspoken awareness. The figures do not speak, do not gesture, but their presence conveys an unspoken awareness. The experience is immersive, drawing observers into a reality that feels layered with the past, the unseen, and the inexplicable. The fog itself adds to the mystery. The thick mist distorts perception, making distances difficult to judge and creating the illusion that figures appear from nowhere. Travelers report that as they drive or walk, the fog walker keeps pace, never closing the distance completely but never leaving. This persistent, silent presence heightens the psychological impact, leaving an impression that lingers long after the encounter. This persistent, silent presence heightens the psychological impact, leaving an impression that lingers long after the encounter. The psychological effect on those who experience the phenomenon is profound. There is fear, certainly, but also awe. Observers are captivated by the silent beauty of the forms. The way they blend with the fog. And the tension between what is visible and what is hidden. The fog walker is not aggressive. Yet the sense of being followed triggers an instinctive caution. A heightened awareness of the surrounding environment. Every shadow, every movement in the mist becomes charged with potential significance. Multiple accounts tell of the fog walker vanishing without warning. One moment the figures are visible, the next they dissolve into the mist, leaving nothing but the dense fog and the memory of being watched. This sudden disappearance reinforces the legend and maintains the mystery, as if the figures exist partially outside the natural world, appearing only when the conditions are right. The fog acts as a stage, and the figures are performers in a scene that repeats, yet never exactly the same. Kebler Pass remains both beautiful and enigmatic, a place where natural majesty and supernatural lore intersect. The fog walker embodies the tension between what is seen and what is unseen, what is known and what remains beyond understanding. Travelers continue to report encounters, and the legend persists, a story woven into the fabric of the pass. The dense fog, the silent figures, the chilling awareness of presentia all create an experience that is both haunting and unforgettable. When the fog lifts, the pass returns to its ordinary splendor. Sunlight reflects off the trees and cliffs. And the sounds of wildlife resume. Yet the memory of the fog walker lingers in the minds of those who witnessed it. Kebler Pass becomes more than a scenic route. It is a place where mystery walks alongside the living. Where the past and present meet in the rolling mist. And where travelers leave with the haunting image of pale, silent figures gliding through the fog. Always just out of reach. Pikes Peak Highway winds steeply through the Rocky Mountains, a road carved into cliffs and ridges, offering breathtaking views by day. The air is thin and crisp, carrying the scent of pine and stone, and the curves challenge even the most experienced drivers. By night, the highway transforms. Shadows stretch across the asphalt, fog drifts between the peaks, and the world seems quieter, slower, yet charged with a subtle tension. Travelers along this highway have reported encounters that defy ordinary explanation. Cars driving alone on the winding road suddenly find themselves amidst a convoy of ghostly vehicles. Brake lights glow in the darkness, casting red reflections on the pavement and surrounding rocks. Engines roar with an unmistakable presence, vibrating through the air, yet no living drivers are visible. The convoy moves with purpose, passing silently yet undeniably, leaving those who witness it both awed and unsettled. The spectral vehicles appear ordinary at first glance. They are recognizable as trucks, cars, or vans, their shapes distinct against the night. Yet there is something impossible about their motion. Observing them is a futile effort, as they seem to disappear into the void. The lead investigator, a seasoned expert, steps forward, her eyes fixed on the spot where the vehicles vanished. The tech billionaire, a man of means and influence, speaks up, his voice laced with skepticism. The phenomenon is most commonly reported during foggy nights when visibility is low. Lights shimmer through the fog, sometimes flickering as if struggling to remain in the physical world. The roar of engines carries a deep resonance, vibrating in the chest of those who hear it, creating a sense of awe and tension that lingers long after the vehicles disappear. Witnesses describe a range of emotions during these encounters. Some feel fear at the impossibility of the sight. Others experience fascination, a compulsion to follow or observe the phantom convoy. Many report a mixture of both, an adrenaline-fueled awareness of being caught between the living and the spectral, between reality and legend. The experience is immersive, demanding attention and leaving a lasting impression on all who witness it. Accounts vary in detail, but share common threads. The brake lights seem brighter than normal, almost signaling that the roar of the engines carries a tone that is too perfect to be mechanical. A harmony of motion and sound that suggests intelligence or memory embedded in the vehicles themselves. Some witnesses have noted that the convoy never collides, never swerves, and never slows for too long. It appears as a collective presence, a procession of machines that obeys a rhythm independent of the living world. The convoy never collides, never swerves, and never slows for too long. Some witnesses have noted that the brake lights seem brighter than normal, almost signaling. The origin of the phantom convoy remains unexplained. Some suggest it is tied to accidents along the highway, spirits of drivers replaying their final moments in a loop that transcends death. Others believe it is a residual energy, a haunting of past travelers whose journeys ended abruptly on the steep mountain curves. Regardless of the cause, the presence of the convoy is undeniable for those who encounter it, an experience that leaves both curiosity and reverence in its wake. The highway itself seems to participate in the phenomenon. Sharp turns, steep inclines, and narrow passes amplify the appearance of the convoy. Fog and darkness conceal the edges of reality, while the red brake lights and glowing engines cut through the mist like markers from another realm. Every curve becomes a stage for the spectral procession. Every shadow a potential participant in the illusion. Yet witnesses insist that what they see is no trick of the light or imagination. Many who experience the convoy describe an aftereffect that lingers beyond the encounter. A heightened awareness of the road, a lingering vibration in the chest, and a sense of connection to the past and the unknown. The phenomenon inspires both caution and reflection, reminding travelers that even a familiar route can hold secrets beyond perception. The phantom convoy is not malevolent, yet it commands respect, a presence that is both mesmerizing and humbling, asserting its existence without explanation. Pikes Peak Highway at night is transformed by these experiences. The road becomes a place where history, memory, and legend intersect. The phantom convoy moves through the curves and fog. A procession of vehicles that belong neither to the living nor to time itself. Observers glimpse headlights, hear the engines roar, and feel the presence of something greater. Yet every attempt to capture it proves impossible. The encounter is fleeting, yet unforgettable. A story etched into memory as clearly as the mountains rise above the asphalt. As dawn approaches, fog lifts and the spectral vehicles fade, leaving the highway calm and ordinary once more. Yet the stories endure, passed from traveler to traveler, adding to the enduring legend of Pikes Peak Highway. The phantom convoy reminds all who journey its curves that some roads hold echoes of the past, energies that linger beyond explanation. And moments where the boundary between the living and the unseen becomes a place of mystery, reflection, and wonder. The trail of the ancients winds through canyons and mesas, a path carved by centuries of human footsteps and natural erosion. By day, it is a route of discovery, where hikers can see ancient ruins, petroglyphs, and the striking desert landscape stretching in every direction. The sun casts long shadows across the sandstone, and the wind carries the dry scent of sage and earth. By night, the trail takes on a different character, one where silence deepens and the vast openness can feel isolating. It is during these quiet hours that travelers report seeing figures along the narrow paths. These apparitions often appear suddenly, standing just ahead with arms raised, waving for help. They seem lost, disoriented, or in need of guidance, their presence compelling enough to draw observers closer. The figures are indistinct, their features difficult to make out in the dim light, yet their gestures are clear and urgent. As hikers or walkers approach, the figures vanish. One moment they are there, the next they are gone, leaving only the evidence of their passing. Footprints appear in the dirt, freshly pressed but fading with the wind. Sometimes the impressions are deep and clear, other times faint, as if the figures themselves were only partially tethered to the physical world. The sudden disappearance often leaves a mixture of awe and unease, a sense of having witnessed something that cannot be fully explained. Local lore suggests that these lost hikers are spirits trapped between worlds. Some say they were explorers who disappeared decades ago, never to be found. Others believe they were travelers who underestimated the harshness of the desert and perished along the trail. Their restless presence is thought to be tied to the path itself, forever wandering the narrow routes, waving for assistance that cannot reach them. The stories have been passed down among locals and visitors, adding a layer of mystery to the trail that draws both curiosity and caution. The environment of the Trail of the Ancients enhances the uncanny nature of the sightings. The wind whistles through the canyons, carrying sounds that can be mistaken for footsteps, voices, or distant cries. Nightfall brings a cold clarity to the desert air, and the stillness amplifies even the smallest sound. Within this setting, the figures seem to materialize naturally, yet impossibly, as if the land itself holds their memory. Witnesses describe the figures as ephemeral but purposeful. They do not wander aimlessly, their movements are deliberate, directed along the trail. They seem to react to human presence, their gestures pleading but never aggressive. Some hikers report a fleeting sense of connection, a feeling that they are sharing the trail with someone who was once very much alive, yet now exists only as an echo of the past. The figuresa vanishing only deepens the impression that they are caught between the living world and something beyond. Attempts to explain the phenomenon vary. Some suggest optical illusions created by moonlight and shadow, or the mind's tendency to shape ambiguous shapes into familiar forms. Others point to the play of wind and natural sounds across the canyon walls. Yet these explanations fall short of capturing the specificity of the encounters. The appearance of distinct figures, their gestures, and the footprints left behind in the dirt. The combination of movement, gesture, and evidence suggests something more than imagination, something tethered to the trail in ways that defy simple logic. The trail itself seems to carry a memory. Every twist, turn, and narrowing path is etched with the history of countless travelers. And the landscape preserves the weight of those who came before. The figures are a reminder of that history, a visual and emotional imprint of lives interrupted. Their presence transforms the experience of walking the trail, turning a simple hike into a contemplative encounter with the past. Observers often leave with a heightened awareness of the fragility of life and the enduring impact of those who walk the earth before us. Encounters with the lost hikers are fleeting yet profound. The footprints left behind serve as evidence that something unusual has occurred, and they are a tangible reminder of the figures that appear and vanish without explanation. And they are a tangible reminder of the figures that appear and vanish without explanation. Observers describe a lingering sense of reverence and curiosity, as if the desert itself is speaking through these ephemeral visitors. As if the desert itself is speaking through these ephemeral visitors. Even after the figures disappear, the trail feels charged with presence, the memory of those lost lingering invisibly among the rocks and sand. The memory of those lost lingering invisibly among the rocks and sand. The Trail of the Ancients is more than a path through a striking landscape. The lost hikers move within this space as echoes of lives interrupted. Their appearance is fleeting but unmistakable. Travelers who witness them are offered a glimpse into a layer of reality that exists alongside the physical world. A reminder that some presences endure beyond death. And that the land itself can preserve their stories. Each footprint, each fleeting wave of the hand, becomes a part of the ongoing narrative of the trail. A silent testament to the enduring connection between the living and the lost. As the night deepens and shadows stretch across the path, the figures may appear once more, waving silently from the narrow trail. They move with urgency yet vanish before contact can be made, leaving only the evidence of their passage. And a memory that will linger long after. The trail of the ancients remains a place of exploration, wonder, and quiet mystery. Where the lost hikers continue their journey, invisible yet profoundly felt. Guiding observers to recognize the presence of history. And the echoes of lives that remain tethered to the earth in ways that defy explanation. Mount Princeton Road twists through dense forests and steep mountain slopes, a narrow ribbon of asphalt flanked by towering pines and jagged rock faces. By day, sunlight filters through the canopy, casting shifting patterns of light across the pavement. Streams cascade down the slopes, their waters sparkling and lively. Hikers and travelers pause to admire the scenery, feeling a sense of awe at the isolation and majesty of the mountains. As night falls, the road changes entirely. Darkness envelopes the curves. And the forest closes in. With an almost tangible presence. The air grows cooler, carrying the scent of pine, earth, and distant snow at higher elevations. Shadows stretch unnaturally across the pavement. And the silence of the night magnifies every sound. Tires hum against asphalt, wind whispers through branches, and every movement is amplified in the stillness. It is here that travelers report encounters with the lantern-bearer. The first sighting is subtle. A faint glow appears along the roadside, flickering between trees and rocks. At first, it could be a reflection, a distant headlight, or a trick of the eye. But as the observer draws closer, the glow resolves into a figure carrying a lantern. The light is soft, almost ethereal, casting long, wavering shadows across the road. The figure walks slowly, deliberately, as if aware of every traveler who might glimpse it. Witnesses describe a mixture of curiosity and unease. The lantern-bearer moves with purpose, yet without urgency. The glow illuminates the surrounding forest in small pools of light, revealing twisted roots, fallen branches, and the rough texture of the mountainside. The figure sometimes appears to guide travelers around sharp curves or hazards in the road, but other times it seems to warn them, lingering in a spot where caution is needed. Its presence is quiet, dignified, and deeply mysterious. The experience is immersive. The combination of the mountain road, the dense forest, and the ethereal glow creates a scene both beautiful and haunting. Travelers report a sense of being watched, yet never threatened. The lantern-bearer is a silent guardian of the road, a presence that blends guidance with warning. The flicker of the lantern and the movement of the figure are hypnotic, drawing attention while keeping the observer at a careful distance. The environment enhances the encounter. Moonlight filters through the canopy, mingling with the figure's light and casting a spectral shimmer on rocks and asphalt. Every turn of the road becomes more suspenseful, every shadow more meaningful. The combination of natural beauty and supernatural suggestion creates an atmosphere that is impossible to forget. Encounters vary, yet common elements persist. Travelers report the figure appearing suddenly on a curve, the lantern casting light directly onto the road ahead. Sometimes it walks alongside the vehicle or on foot, at other times it pauses in a clearing, the glow visible for several seconds before fading into darkness. Observers note the absence of sound from the figure, apart from the faint rustle of clothing or the lantern swinging gently. There is no voice, no warning shouted, only the soft, persistent illumination in the night. Emotional responses range from wonder to apprehension. Witnesses feel a combination of awe and caution, a realization that they are in the presence of something not entirely of this world. The lantern-bearer seems neither hostile nor malevolent. Instead, It conveys a quiet authority, a reminder of the dangers of the road, the isolation of the mountains, and the mysteries that linger in shadowed places. Attempts to document the figure are often inconclusive. Photographs show faint glows or blurs, while videos capture only brief flickers of light. The true impact of the encounter remains with the observer, recorded in memory rather than in devices. Those who experience it describe lasting impressions: the soft light, the movement along the roadside, and the sense of being guided or cautioned by an unseen presence. Mount Princeton Road becomes more than a mountain pass for those where isolation and natural beauty create a perfect stage for mystery. Where the ordinary world intersects with the unexplained, where isolation and natural beauty create a glowing reminder that even familiar landscapes can hold surprises beyond understanding. Travelers who journey this road after dark may glimpse the lantern flickering among the trees, feel the quiet presence moving along the roadside, and sense the subtle guidance or warning it conveys. The lantern bearer continues to be an enduring figure in local lore, a spectral guide in the mountains, and a reminder that some roads hold secrets that are revealed only under the cover of night. Dinosaur Ridge stretches across the western landscape, a place of jagged rocks, fossilized remnants, and wide open skies. By day, visitors marvel at the ancient footprints preserved in stone, the towering rock formations, and the sweeping views of valleys below. The area is a window into deep time, where the Earth's history is etched into every cliff and ledge. But as darkness falls, the ridge transforms into a place where the past and the present seem to converge, and legends come alive along the winding paths. Legends come alive along the winding paths. Travelers and locals have reported seeing a figure moving along the ridge after nightfall. A lone cowboy, riding silently along the road, becomes visible only as a shadow. No horse appears beneath him, just a dark outline that glides along the ridge. The figure moves with purpose, a solitary silhouette against the faint glow of moonlight or distant town lights, creating a sense of motion that is both eerie and captivating. The shadow cowboy appears at unexpected moments. Sometimes he emerges from behind rock outcrops, riding along the ridge for a few seconds before disappearing at the turn of the road. Observers describe a feeling of tension mixed with awe. The figure is unmistakably human, yet the absence of a horse and the way he seems to blend with the darkness creates an unsettling effect. The mind struggles to reconcile the familiar image of a rider with the impossible nature of what is seen. The legend of the shadow cowboy is intertwined with the history of the ridge. Cowboys once traversed these lands, guiding cattle and exploring trails carved into the mountains. Some say the figure is a remnant of that era, a spirit eternally riding the ridge, bound to the paths he once traveled in life. Others suggest the shadow is a natural illusion, a trick of moonlight, shadows, and perspective, yet the consistency of sightings over the years adds weight to the mystery. Witnesses often describe the atmosphere during these encounters. The air is still and quiet, the sounds of wildlife muted, and the only movement visible is the shadow itself. The silhouette moves with smooth precision, maintaining a steady pace that matches the imagined rhythm of a horse in motion. The effect is cinematic, as though the observer has stepped into a scene from another time, a ghostly tableau replaying along the ancient ridge. The ridge itself enhances the experience. Its sharp curves, rocky ledges, and uneven terrain create natural frames for the figure's movement. Shadows stretch across cliffs and valleys, blending with the silhouette of the rider. The landscape seems alive, responding to the presence of the shadow cowboy, shaping the perception of those who watch. The moon casts pale light on the rocks, illuminating parts of the path while leaving others in darkness, making each sighting unique and fleeting. Observers report a range of emotions during these encounters. There is a sense of wonder at the clarity of the figure, the unmistakable outline of a cowboy in motion, and the way he moves along the ridge. There is also a tension, a subtle unease created by the figure's isolation, and the impossibility of his form. Witnesses often feel watched, a quiet awareness that the shadow is aware of their presence even if it does not interact directly. The shadow cowboy is rarely seen for long. He appears, glides along the ridge for a moment, and disappears at a bend in the road or behind a rock formation. There is no sound of hooves, no interaction. Only the visual impression of motion and presence. This sudden disappearance is a defining characteristic, leaving observers with a sense of loss and curiosity, as if a story has begun but not yet concluded. Sightings vary in detail. Others follow the ridge for longer stretches, observing the cowboy as he seems to ride along with an invisible rhythm, never faltering, never deviating from his path, adding new nuances and details while maintaining the central mystery, the solitary rider, the shadowy form, and the impossibility of what is seen. The shadow cowboy is not threatening. His presence is solemn, quiet, and measured. He appears as a figure of the past, moving through the present without causing harm. Yet his appearance leaves a lasting impression. The combination of history, landscape, and supernatural suggestion creates a haunting experience, one that lingers in memory long after the ridge returns to its normal, moonlit stillness. As dawn approaches, the ridge resumes its ordinary tranquility. The shadows retreat, the cliffs and trails are bathed in sunlight, and the deep history of the land is again visible in fossilized footprints and rocky formations. Yet the memory of the shadow cowboy endures. Dinosaur Ridge is more than a geological wonder. It is a stage for the mysterious. A place where the past rides silently alongside the present, and where travelers leave with the haunting image of a solitary rider gliding through darkness, forever etched into the imagination. The million-dollar highway winds through the rugged mountains, a road carved into cliffs that plunge hundreds of feet below. By day, drivers are captivated by the sweeping vistas, the jagged peaks, and the vast expanse of sky. But by night, the highway takes on a different character. Darkness drapes the cliffs, shadows stretch across the asphalt, and the wind carries an eerie stillness that seems to pause time itself. Travelers along this stretch of road have reported a haunting presence. An old truck, weathered and seemingly from another era, appears without warning. It barrels around cliffside turns with an urgency that defies the steep grades and tight curves. Headlights flash, tires squeal, and the engine roars with life. Yet the truck is gone the moment anyone tries to get closer. Observers are left with only the echo of screeching brakes, a lingering tension that remains long after the road has returned to silence. The truck is described as ordinary at first glance. Rusted and aged, it resembles the vehicles of decades past. Yet its motion is impossible. It navigates curves at speeds that challenge physics, appearing from the fog or darkness as though it emerged from another time. Witnesses often feel a momentary connection, as if the vehicle carries not just metal and mechanics, but a story, a memory, or a presence that refuses to fade. Fog and darkness enhance the experience. The highway twists through narrow passes, cliffs rising sharply on one side and dropping into voids on the other. Shadows play across the asphalt, and mist clings to the mountainsides, obscuring everything but the sudden appearance of headlights. When the truck emerges from this obscurity, it feels alive, aware, and almost sentient. Yet any attempt to follow it reveals only empty road, the screeching brakes fading into the wind as if it had never existed. Witnesses report a spectrum of emotions. Fear is common, the natural reaction to a vehicle appearing so suddenly in a precarious location. Yet fascination accompanies the fear, a desire to understand or even chase the apparition despite the danger. The encounter feels deliberate, a moment suspended between reality and legend. Drivers recount heartbeats that accelerate, palms that sweat, and a profound awareness of the fragility of life along this treacherous mountain road. Along this treacherous mountain road. The ghost truck is not malevolent. It does not chase or strike. Instead, it serves as a reminder, a spectral presence tied to the dangers of the highway. Some speculate that it represents lives lost on the road, perhaps a driver who never made it through the cliffs or a vehicle forever trapped in the memory of a fatal curve. Others see it as a residual imprint, an echo of past accidents replaying endlessly in a loop visible only to those sensitive enough to perceive it. Each sighting is unique yet shares common elements. The roar of the engine carries, resonating in the chest of the observer, while the tires seem to grip the asphalt with impossible precision. And then, without warning, the vehicle vanishes, leaving only the fading sound of brakes and a lingering sense of awe. The million-dollar highway itself seems to participate in the phenomenon. Its twists, grades, and sheer drops create the perfect stage for the ghostly truck. Observers report that time feels altered during encounters, the seconds stretching and compressing, as if the highway has become a liminal space between the living world and something beyond. Many who witness the truck feel a lasting impression long after leaving the highway. A heightened awareness of the road, a lingering vibration in the chest. And the memory of headlights appearing from nowhere stay with them. The ghost truck becomes more than a story. It is a symbol of human vulnerability and the enduring presence of memory tied to place. It reminds travelers that even familiar roads hold secrets. And that the echoes of past lives can manifest in sudden, unexplainable ways. By dawn, the highway returns to its ordinary state. The cliffs glow in the morning light. The asphalt warms under the sun. And the wind carries only the natural sounds of the mountains. Yet the legend of the ghost truck persists. Whispered by those who have seen it and recounted to those who have yet to experience it. The screech of brakes, the sudden flash of headlights, and the impossible motion of the vehicle continue to haunt the imagination. Ensuring that the million-dollar highway remains a road where history, memory, and the unexplained converge. The ghost truck of the million-dollar highway is a presence that defies explanation. An apparition that bridges the physical and the spectral. Drivers glimpse it, hear it, feel it. And then it vanishes, leaving behind a story etched into the asphalt and the consciousness of all who pass. It is a reminder that the mountains remember. That the road holds secrets. And that some encounters, brief as they may be, linger far longer than the fleeting moments of the night. Berthoud Pass stretches high into the Rocky Mountains, a winding road flanked by jagged peaks and deep snowdrifts. By day, it is a place of breathtaking vistas, where sunlight glints off icy slopes and the crisp mountain air fills the lungs. The landscape is vast and imposing, with cliffs rising sharply on either side and pine forests blanketing the slopes. Yet when night falls, the pass transforms. Shadows lengthen and the wind carries a stillness that can feel both serene and unnerving. It is on these quiet nights that travelers report hearing the laughter of a child echoing across the pass. The sound is clear, high-pitched, and unexpectedly joyful against the backdrop of the mountains. It bounces off cliffs and drifts over snow-covered meadows, creating the impression of a presence nearby. Some who hear it stop in their tracks, unsure where the laughter is coming from, and yet drawn toward it, as if compelled to discover its source. Many claim to see a small figure playing in the snow. The child appears lively and animated, running, spinning, and leaving footprints in the fresh powder. Their movements are playful, yet fleeting. Observers often approach, hoping to find another person or a lost traveler, only to find the snow empty. The footprints themselves can vanish quickly, erased by wind or snowfall, leaving no evidence of the childa's presence. Local stories suggest that the laughter belongs to a child who disappeared on the pass long ago. Accounts vary, but the common theme is of a young life lost in the harsh mountain environment. Some say the child was caught in a sudden blizzard, while others believe they wandered off while exploring the snow-covered trails. Regardless of the exact story, the spirit of the child is said to linger, playful yet elusive, carrying an echo of innocence across the pass. The environment amplifies the experience. Snow-covered slopes and dense forests create natural acoustics, making sounds carry farther and feel closer than they truly are. The cold air can intensify the perception of movement and sound, while shadows cast by moonlight and car headlights create shapes that seem to move independently. In this setting, the figure of the child appears almost tangible, yet just out of reach, blending seamlessly with the natural landscape. Witnesses describe a mixture of emotions when encountering the figure. The laughter evokes a sense of warmth and nostalgia, yet it is paired with the eerie understanding that no one is actually there. The figure is often seen briefly, playing or skipping across the snow, before disappearing behind a ridge or vanishing entirely into the night. Some observers report a fleeting feeling of being watched, a gentle presence that is neither threatening nor entirely comforting, but undeniably real. Attempts to explain the phenomenon range from natural causes to more mysterious possibilities. Some suggest the sound of wind whistling through trees or snow settling on rocks could mimic laughter. Others point to imagination, shaped by isolation and the mind's tendency to perceive familiar forms in ambiguous shapes. Yet the consistency of the reports, combined with sightings of footprints and the distinct sound of a child's laughter, suggests something more. The experience is vivid, emotional, and difficult to dismiss entirely. The laughter and fleeting appearance of the child have become part of the character of Berthoud Pass. Hikers, drivers, and winter travelers share stories of encounters, passing along the legend as both a warning and a marvel. The child's presence is said to serve as a reminder of the pass's dangers, as well as a lingering imprint of innocence in a landscape that can be both beautiful and unforgiving. Each echo of laughter carries the weight of history and the mystery of lives touched and lost in the mountains. Those who encounter the figure often feel a lasting impression. Even after leaving the pass, the memory of the laughter and the fleeting vision of the child persists. Travelers report a subtle shift in awareness, a heightened sensitivity to the natural environment, and a reflective thoughtfulness about the stories carried by the land. The spirit of the child, whether imagined or real, becomes a companion on the road. A reminder that the mountains hold both beauty and mystery. Berthoud Pass continues to draw visitors, adventurers, and storytellers. The road remains a corridor through the Rockies, offering moments of awe and quiet contemplation. Amid the vastness, the laughter of the child can still be heard on some nights, echoing across snowfields and cliffs, playful and fleeting. The small figure moves among the drifts, vanishing when approached, leaving behind footprints that tell a story of presence, memory, and the enduring enigma of a spirit that continues to play in the mountains. The small figure moves among the drifts, vanishing when approached, leaving behind footprints that tell a story of presence, memory, and the enduring enigma of a spirit that continues to play in the mountains. As travelers ascend or descend the pass, the echoes of the laughter remind them of the human stories embedded in the landscape. The child's presence, delicate and ephemeral, connects the living with those who came before, weaving a subtle thread of wonder and mystery through the snow, wind, and rock. Berthoud Pass is not only a path through the mountains, but a space where the past lingers, where innocence and loss meet. And where a small figure continues to play, just beyond reach, leaving an unforgettable mark on all who pass through. San Juan Skyway winds through the rugged mountains of southwestern Colorado, a road of sweeping curves, high passes, and narrow cliffside stretches. By day, the highway offers breathtaking views of jagged peaks, deep valleys, and golden forests that stretch to the horizon. Travelers take in the scenery with a sense of wonder, the crisp mountain air carrying the scent of pine and stone. The crisp mountain air carrying the scent of pine and stone. As dusk settles over the peaks, the road takes on a different character. Shadows stretch across the asphalt, and the golden light fades into hues of gray and blue. The mountains loom like silent sentinels, and the air grows colder and quieter. At these hours, travelers report encounters with the phantom couple. Two figures whose presence has become part of the lore of San Juan Skyway. The figures appear on deserted curves, where the road twists sharply around cliffs and valleys. Travelers describe seeing two people holding hands, standing together in the dim light, facing the road. Their movements are slow, deliberate, almost ethereal, and their expressions seem tinged with sadness. The couple smiles faintly, a gesture of warmth and melancholy. Yet they remain just out of reach, untouchable and fragile. Witnesses often feel a mixture of fascination and unease. The couple appears solid at first, detailed enough to recognize clothing, posture, and features. Yet there is a subtle shimmer, a sense that the figures are not bound by gravity or time. They do not speak or acknowledge the traveler beyond their gaze, yet their presence conveys emotional loss, longing, and a gentle connection between them that transcends the road itself. This is the end of the script. The road amplifies the mystery. The curves and elevation changes, combined with the fading light, create shifting shadows that make the couple appear and disappear unexpectedly. One moment they are visible at the edge of the pavement. The next they vanish entirely, leaving the road empty and silent. Travelers report that even after the figures have disappeared, a lingering warmth or chill remains, a subtle reminder of the encounter that is impossible to ignore. Environmental factors add to the effect. Mist sometimes rises from the valleys below, curling around the asphalt and softening the outlines of the mountains. Moonlight reflects off distant snow and rock, creating illusions that blend seamlessly with the figures. In this setting, the phantom couple seems almost like a natural part of the landscape, a presence woven into the fabric of the mountains themselves. The air carries a stillness, broken only by the occasional sound of tires on the road or the wind through the pines. In this setting, the phantom couple seems almost like a natural part of the landscape, a presence woven into the fabric of the mountains themselves. Encounters follow a pattern. Travelers see the couple at curves, sometimes near guardrails or the edge of the forest, holding hands and standing close. They smile faintly, their expressions a mixture of reassurance and sorrow. Some witnesses report the feeling of being observed even after the figures vanish, as if the couple continues to watch over the road from beyond sight. The experience is immersive and emotional. Witnesses often describe a sense of connection. A recognition of shared human experience in the couple's silent gestures. There is no fear, no threat. Only the subtle weight of their presence. And the haunting beauty of the encounter. Travelers remember the moment vividly. Recalling the light in their eyes. The gentle curve of their hands. And the way they vanished without a trace. Attempts to document the phenomenon are rarely conclusive. Photographs show faint shapes, blurs, or shadows. While video footage captures only fleeting glimpses. The essence of the experience resides in the perception of the traveler, the visual encounter, the emotional impact, and the memory of a moment suspended between reality and mystery. Those who witness the phantom couple often speak of a sense of awe, a feeling that they have glimpsed something that exists outside ordinary life. A moment suspended between reality and mystery. San Juan Skyway transforms at night from a scenic highway into a space of mystery. Its curves, elevations, and isolation create the perfect conditions for the unexplained. Travelers become participants in a story that is both timeless and ephemeral. A story told in glances, gestures, and fleeting appearances. The phantom couple is more than a legend, they are a symbol of enduring connection. Of emotion preserved in a place where time seems to bend. And the ordinary world meets the extraordinary. For those who travel the road after dark, there is the possibility of seeing. Those who travel the road after dark, there is the possibility of seeing. The figures holding hands on deserted curves, smiling with quiet sorrow. And fading into the night. The phantom couple remains a lasting presence in the lore of San Juan Skyway. A reminder that even in the midst of familiar landscapes, moments of wonder, mystery, and emotion can appear without warning. The road continues to wind through the mountains, carrying travelers along paths where the past and the unseen converge. And where the memory of a ghostly encounter lingers long after the figures have disappeared. Cottonwood Pass stretches through winding roads, steep cliffs, and dense forested areas. By day, it is a place of quiet beauty, with sunlight filtering through the trees and the distant mountains framing the horizon. But as darkness falls, the atmosphere changes. Shadows stretch across the asphalt, and the roadside seems to take on a life of its own. It is in this darkness that travelers report seeing the hitchhiker in black. A figure appears along the edge of the road, standing still, facing the oncoming vehicles. The shape is humanoid, but no features are visible. Clothing appears dark, absorbing the faint light from headlights or the moon. And the figure seems to merge with the surrounding shadows. Even from a distance, the presence is unnerving, drawing the attention of drivers who slow to get a closer look. When motorists attempt to offer a ride, the encounter becomes even stranger. The figure appears to move with them as they pull over. Sometimes the figure approaches the car door. Yet when the passenger seat is checked, it is always empty. No reflection in the window, no weight on the seat, only the sense of a presence that was there one moment and gone the next. This fleeting interaction leaves witnesses with a mixture of fear, confusion, and fascination. The environment of Cottonwood Pass adds to the eerie experience. Headlights cut through the mist, revealing glimpses of the figure before it disappears into the darkness. The winding nature of the road prevents drivers from seeing far ahead, and every curve becomes a potential moment of encounter. The isolation of the pass amplifies the feeling of being observed, as if the hitchhiker in black exists in a space outside ordinary reality. Multiple accounts describe similar behaviors. The figure stands silently, sometimes lifting a hand in a gesture that resembles a wave or a beckon. Movements are minimal, almost imperceptible, yet enough to create the impression of awareness and intent. Observers report a sensation of being watched, of an invisible gaze following their movements even when the figure vanishes. The interaction is passive yet deeply unsettling, leaving a lasting impression on those who experience it. The origin of the hitchhiker in black remains unknown. Some suggest it is the spirit of someone lost on the pass, a traveler who met a tragic fate and now lingers in shadow. Others propose it is a manifestation of the environment itself, a trick of light and human perception amplified by darkness and isolation. Despite attempts at rational explanation, the consistency of sightings over time suggests something more than coincidence, a persistent legend rooted in the unique character of Cottonwood Pass. Witnesses often describe the atmosphere during encounters as charged and silent. The usual sounds of the forest and night are diminished, replaced by the low hum of the car engine. And the crunch of tires on gravel or asphalt. Even the wind seems to pause when the figure is near, as if the world itself acknowledges the presence. The effect is cinematic, a moment that feels both immediate and suspended in time, drawing travelers into a story they did not expect to witness. The appearance of the hitchhiker is fleeting. The figure never speaks, never touches the vehicle, and never stays for long. One moment it stands by the roadside, the next it is gone, leaving behind the empty road and the lingering feeling that something beyond comprehension has been there. This transient nature fuels both fear and fascination, as each sighting feels like a glimpse into another realm, one that is close enough to touch but impossible to grasp. Travelers often report a mixture of emotions after the encounter. There is fear, certainly, a tension that persists even after the figure disappears. Yet there is also awe, a recognition of the mystery and beauty of the moment. Some describe an urge to return to the pass, to seek out the figure again. While others are content to carry the story with them, a memory of darkness, shadow, and the inexplicable. Cottonwood Pass remains a place where the ordinary and the extraordinary meet. The winding roads, dense forests, and occasional fog provide the perfect setting for the hitchhiker in black to appear and vanish. The figure has become part of the identity of the pass, a story passed among locals and travelers alike. It is a presence that challenges perception, a shadow at the edge of vision, and a reminder that some mysteries linger on roads less traveled, waiting for those willing to witness them. Even in the brightness of day, the pass retains a subtle tension, as if the memory of the hitchhiker in black lingers in the shadows and undergrowth. Travelers who pass through at night carry with them the memory of a dark figure, waiting silently, ever patient, and impossible to reach. Cottonwood Pass is more than a road, it is a stage for the unknown, a place where legend and reality intersect, and where the hitchhiker in black continues to wait for anyone daring enough to travel its winding path. Rabbit Ears Pass stretches across the Colorado Rockies, a winding trail carved between jagged peaks and steep valleys. By day, it is a place of breathtaking scenery, where wildflowers sway on windswept ridges and the sky opens wide above the rugged landscape. By night, the pass takes on a different character. Shadows cling to the cliffs, the air grows still, and a quiet tension lingers, as if the mountains themselves are holding their breath. Riders traversing this pass on horseback have reported encounters that defy explanation. A horse, spectral and wild, appears alongside them. Its coat glows faintly in the moonlight, muscles rippling as it matches the speed of the living rider. No saddle is seen. No rider guides its motion. Yet it moves with purpose and precision, keeping pace as if it belongs to both the earth and the unseen world. The first sign of the vanishing horse is often the sound of hooves striking the rocky trail. Riders glance to the side and see the figure emerging from the darkness. Mirrors their movements, accelerating or slowing, turning as they turn. Yet remains untethered by any visible presence. The sight is both exhilarating and unnerving. A creature that exists at the boundary between reality and legend. Attempts to touch the horse have always failed. Hands reach out, but fingers meet nothing but air. The creature vanishes at the moment of contact, leaving the rider with only the memory of movement, warmth, and presence. Those who have experienced it describe a mixture of awe and confusion. A fleeting sense of connection to something ancient, untamed, and beyond human understanding. Fog and moonlight often frame these encounters, amplifying the spectral quality of the horse. Mist swirls around rocky outcrops, concealing the landscape and leaving only the luminous form of the creature visible. Its eyes are said to reflect the moon, alert and intelligent, watching riders as if recognizing both their curiosity and caution. The mountains seem to amplify its presence, every echo and shadow creating the illusion of movement that is both natural and impossible. Witnesses report emotions that range from exhilaration to unease. Some feel a surge of adrenaline, compelled to race alongside the vanishing horse. Others experience a quiet fear, a recognition that the world around them has shifted, if only for a brief moment. The encounter is fleeting, yet vivid, leaving a lasting impression that endures long after the rider has returned to the ordinary path. The rider has returned to the ordinary path. Stories of the vanishing horse suggest that it is more than a simple apparition. Some believe it is the spirit of a horse lost in these mountains long ago, its energy lingering on the trail where it once ran. Others suggest it is a guardian of the pass, a spectral presence that monitors those who venture into the high country at night. Regardless of its origin, the horse commands respect, a reminder of the untamed beauty and hidden mysteries of Rabbit Ears Pass. The horse is most often reported along narrow stretches of trail, where cliffs rise sharply on one side and valleys drop away on the other. The terrain enhances the sense of danger and wonder, forcing riders to remain alert while experiencing the impossible. Its sudden appearance and disappearance magnify the tension, creating a cinematic moment in which time seems to stretch, sound becomes vivid, and the boundaries between the living and the spectral blur. Many writers describe the encounter as transformative. The vanishing horse leaves behind a sense of connection to the mountains. And to something unseen, a reminder that the natural world holds layers of experience beyond ordinary perception. Even when the creature is gone, the echo of its hooves, the faint shimmer of its coat in moonlight, and the memory of its silent presence linger, etching the moment into the mind of the observer. Rabbit Ears Pass is a place where history, nature, and mystery converge. The mountains have witnessed countless travelers, both human and equine. And the legend of the vanishing horse adds another layer to their story. Riders continue to traverse the pass, aware of the possibility of encountering this spectral companion. And those who do emerge with a story that blends awe, reverence, and wonder. The vanishing horse reminds all who see it that the world contains more than what meets the eye. It is a symbol of freedom, power, and the unknown, racing alongside the living yet belonging to a realm that cannot be grasped. Each sighting is unique, fleeting, and unrepeatable, a moment in which the extraordinary intersects with the ordinary, leaving a memory as enduring as the mountains themselves. As dawn breaks and the light spills over the peaks, the horse disappears completely, leaving the trail calm and silent once more. Yet the stories endure, passed among riders and travelers, a legend that continues to draw those willing to venture into the high country. The vanishing horse of Rabbit Ears Pass is a presence that transcends time, a reminder that some encounters with the unknown are fleeting, beautiful, and unforgettable. Monarch Pass stretches high into the Rockies, a winding route carved through jagged peaks and snow-dusted slopes. By day, the road offers breathtaking views of vast valleys, rugged cliffs, and distant ridgelines. The sun glints off rocky outcrops and patches of lingering snow, creating a dazzling panorama. Travelers can hear the whisper of wind across the mountains and feel the chill of elevation in every breath. By night, the pass transforms. Darkness descends quickly, and the familiar landscape becomes mysterious, shadowed, and isolated. It is during these nights that travelers report seeing a lone lantern floating above the road. The light hovers just above the surface, moving slowly and deliberately, as if searching for someone to follow. Its glow is soft but unmistakable, cutting through the darkness like a beacon in a void. The lantern drifts along the curves of the road, sometimes pausing, as though assessing who might be approaching, and then continuing its silent journey. Those who witness the lantern often describe a sudden drop in temperature. A cold that grips the body despite layers of clothing. Along with the chill, they report hearing whispers nearby. The sounds are faint and fleeting, indistinct syllables that suggest presence but never clarity. Travelers say it feels as though someone, or something, is walking just behind them, unseen but attentive. The combination of sight, sound, and cold creates a sense of both awe and unease, a feeling that the pass itself is alive with unseen forces. Local stories suggest the lantern belongs to a traveler who was lost long ago. Accounts vary, some claiming it was a miner or hiker who vanished during a snowstorm, others saying a lone stagecoach driver never returned from the treacherous route. The legend portrays the lantern as their spirit, eternally searching for companionship or guidance, wandering the pass in an endless quest to find the living and perhaps lead them to Safetia or warn them of danger. The environment of Monarch Pass contributes to the phenomenon. Snowfields, rocky cliffs, and dense patches of forest create natural acoustics, allowing small sounds to echo or travel unexpectedly. Shadows from moonlight or passing vehicles distort shapes along the road, enhancing the sense of movement and presence. Within this setting, the lantern seems perfectly natural, yet wholly impossible. Witnesses describe the lantern as purposeful. It does not wander aimlessly but appears to follow a consistent path along the road. It reacts to human presence, pausing when approached, drifting closer or moving just out of reach. Observers often feel a mixture of fascination and apprehension. The light seems inviting, yet there is an unmistakable sense of the unknown lurking behind its glow. Those who attempt to follow it frequently find themselves disoriented, the road twisting and turning in ways that seem unfamiliar, even to seasoned travelers. Explanations for the phenomenon vary. Some attribute it to natural causes, such as reflections from snow or distant vehicle lights, optical illusions, or atmospheric refraction in the thin mountain air. Others suggest the whispers and chills are products of imagination or heightened senses in an isolated and high-altitude environment. Yet the consistency of reports, combined with the distinct, floating light and sudden sensory experiences, suggests something more. Witnesses describe the lantern and accompanying sensations as vivid and tangible, leaving a lasting impression that defies simple explanation. The Lantern of the Lost has become part of the identity of Monarch Pass. Travelers share stories, warnings, and personal encounters, passing the legend along to newcomers. It serves as both a mystery and a caution, reminding those who traverse the pass of the dangers inherent in high mountain roads and the lives that have been lost there. The floating light is seen as a connection to the past, a presence that links the living with those who disappeared, keeping their memory alive and their search ongoing. Those who witness the lantern often leave the pass changed. The experience leaves a lingering sense of wonder, and for some, a subtle awareness of forces beyond comprehension. The whispers, the chill, and the drifting glow become a memory that persists long after the journey is over. Travelers describe a heightened attention to the landscape, a cautious respect for its power, and a contemplative feeling about the lives that intersect with this remote stretch of road. Monarch Pass continues to draw adventurers, drivers, and those seeking mystery. The road remains a passage through striking natural beauty and quiet isolation. On certain nights, the lantern reappears, floating along the road, unwavering in its slow search. It pauses, drifts forward, and guides the imagination of those who see it, reminding them that some presences endure beyond the living, tethered to the land and its history. The Lantern of the Lost is more than a fleeting light. It is a symbol of memory, longing, and the enduring human connection to place. Travelers who witness it are offered a glimpse into a hidden layer of the world, where spirits and stories linger, waiting to be seen, felt, and remembered. Monarch Pass is not just a road through the mountains, but a corridor where the past and present meet, where a lone lantern floats above the darkened asphalt, searching for someone to follow, and leaving an unforgettable mark on all who journey along its path. Red Mountain Pass winds through the jagged peaks of the San Juan Mountains, a narrow ribbon of road carved from cliffs and steep slopes. By day, the scenery is breathtaking, with crimson and rust-colored rocks, alpine forests, and snow-capped summits stretching to the horizon. Travelers pause at overlooks to take in the beauty, unaware that the road carries a darker history. As night falls, Red Mountain Pass transforms. Shadows deepen, and the wind whistles through the canyons, carrying the scent of cold stone and pine. The isolation of the pass becomes palpable. The cliffs rise like silent watchers, their jagged edges cutting sharply against the night sky. In this darkness, witnesses report the appearance of the screaming shadows, dark shapes that rise from the cliffsides and vanish into the night. The first sighting is sudden. Travelers notice a dark shape moving along the rock face, rising from the shadows as if the cliffs themselves have come alive. The figure is often humanoid but distorted, a twisting silhouette that defies precise description. Observers report a chilling sound accompanying the sight, a scream that echoes across the canyon, sharp and agonizing, fading into the wind but leaving a lasting impression. The screaming shadows appear in unpredictable locations. Sometimes they emerge from the edges of switchbacks, other times from steep gullies where rocks tumble silently. Their movements are unnervingly deliberate, as if replaying moments from the past. Some travelers claim to have seen the shapes repeating accidents from decades ago, figures tumbling from cliffs or losing control on icy curves. The shadows mimic these events, yet no one is ever harmed in the present, leaving only a sense of eerie repetition. The shadows mimic these events, yet no one is ever harmed in the present, leaving only a sense of eerie repetition. Witnesses describe a mixture of fear and fascination. The shapes are dark and ephemeral, impossible to touch or track. The screams echo through the mountains, bouncing off cliffs and vanishing in the stillness of the night. Travelers often stop their vehicles, unable to look away, captivated by the spectacle even as their hearts race. The combination of sight and sound creates an experience that is both mesmerizing and unsettling. Environmental conditions enhance the encounters. Moonlight glances off jagged rocks, casting shadows that merge with the figures. Wind sweeps through the pass, amplifying distant sounds and making the screaming shadows appear to move with the gusts. Every curve, every drop in the road, becomes a stage for the phenomenon. Observers note that the shadows seem tied to memory and history. The accidents they replay are often documented incidents from the early days of mining and transportation on the pass, when roads were treacherous and the cliffs claimed many lives. The figures do not interact with the living but rather enact these events as if trapped in a loop, a spectral reminder of the dangers that once defined Red Mountain Pass. Attempts to capture the phenomenon are rarely successful. Photographs show faint smudges or blurs along the cliffs, while video footage captures fleeting movement and distorted shadows. The true essence of the encounter resides with the observer, in the emotional and psychological impression left by the sight and sound. Those who experience the screaming shadows often speak of the intensity of the screams, the unnatural movement of the shapes, and the lingering sense of history pressing against the present. The experience is immersive. Travelers feel the weight of the mountains, the isolation of the road, and the presence of something beyond explanation. The combination of natural beauty and supernatural suggestion creates a tension that grips the senses. The pass becomes more than a route through the mountains, it transforms into a place where time and memory intersect, where the living witness echoes of the past. Red Mountain Pass is a place of extremes, where the elements, the terrain, and the unknown converge. The screaming shadows persist as a haunting presence in the folklore of the area. A reminder that even the most beautiful landscapes can hold secrets, and that the echoes of history sometimes manifest in ways that defy understanding. Travelers who journey the pass after dark may glimpse dark shapes rising from the cliffs, hear screams that chill the blood, and sense the replay of accidents long past. The experience leaves a lasting impression, a story carried forward in memory, retold to others who may one day take the road themselves. The screaming shadows continue to haunt Red Mountain Pass, a spectral reminder of the mountain's history and the mysteries that linger in the night. Wolf Creek Pass winds through dense forests and steep mountains, a place where the natural beauty of towering pines and rugged cliffs dominates the landscape. By day, sunlight filters through the branches, casting patterns on the asphalt as travelers make their way along the serpentine roads. The air carries the scent of pine and damp earth, and the quiet is interrupted only by the hum of vehicles and the occasional call of wildlife. But as night falls, the pass takes on an entirely different character, one shaped by shadow, mist, and the stories that linger in its corners. It is along these darkened roads that travelers report seeing the phantom logger. A solitary figure emerges from the trees, carrying an axe. The presence is unmistakable, a human shape outlined against the dim moonlight or the glow of headlights. Yet it is accompanied by an unsettling stillness. No sound of footsteps, no rustle of leaves, no swing of the axe is ever heard. Yet the ground around the figure bears signs of disturbance, as if the earth itself remembers some long-forgotten labor. The phantom logger appears at the roadside, sometimes standing motionless, other times moving slowly along the edge of the road. Observers describe a figure dressed in the attire of old loggers, heavy boots and work clothes, yet darkened and shadowy, as if absorbing the light around him. The axe rests in his hand, yet no swing is ever made. The figure seems aware of those who pass, yet never interacts, a silent observer bound to the land. Wolf Creek Pass is an ideal setting for such a legend. The thick forests and twisting roads create a sense of isolation, where travelers feel exposed and watched. Fog often rolls down from the mountains, enveloping trees and roadways in a damp, ghostly veil. Headlights cut through this mist, illuminating patches of the forest, sometimes revealing glimpses of movement that vanish before they can be fully comprehended. The environment itself contributes to the feeling of mystery, making every shadow a potential encounter and every rustle a hint of presence. Witnesses often report an uneasy stillness during sightings. The usual sounds of the forest seem muted, replaced by a tension that is almost tangible. Even the wind appears to hesitate, and the air feels heavier, carrying an invisible weight. The phantom logger appears at moments when the pass is quiet, when vehicles are few and the darkness is uninterrupted, amplifying the sense of isolation and heightening awareness of every detail. Accounts of the logger are remarkably consistent. The figure carries an axe, yet it never moves with aggression. Movements are minimal, slow and deliberate, giving the impression of someone continuing work long after the world has changed. Footprints sometimes appear in muddy patches along the roadside, seemingly fresh yet fading into nothing when approached. Fallen branches and disturbed earth mark the path, evidence of activity without the presence of a living being. The origin of the phantom logger is the subject of speculation. Some suggest he is the spirit of a worker lost in the forest, bound to continue the labor he could not finish. Others theorize it is a memory of the land itself, a remnant of history imprinted into the natural world. Despite rational explanations, the figure appears repeatedly, seen by multiple travelers over decades, reinforcing the idea of a presence that defies ordinary understanding. Observers describe a mixture of fear and fascination. There is the initial shock of seeing a figure where none should exist, the instinct to flee or look away. Yet there is also a compelling curiosity, a desire to watch and understand. The phantom logger embodies both the danger and allure of the unknown, a figure that is simultaneously rooted in reality and suspended in the supernatural. The figure is transient, appearing and disappearing without warning. One moment he stands by the roadside, the next he is gone, leaving only disturbed earth and a lingering impression of presence. Travelers often recount feeling as though the logger has followed them for a stretch, glimpsed in the rearview mirror or out the corner of the eye, only to vanish into the trees. This fleeting nature contributes to the legend, ensuring that each sighting feels unique, personal, and unrepeatable. Wolf Creek Pass at night is transformed by the legend. The quiet of the road, the rustling trees, the mist and shadows all combine to create an environment ripe for the uncanny. The phantom logger becomes a part of this atmosphere, an enduring presence that moves between reality and myth. Travelers who witness him carry the memory long after the road has straightened, the trees receded, and daylight returns. The story of the phantom logger is more than a local legend. It is a reminder of the power of place, the weight of history, and the way the land can hold on to memory. Wolf Creek Pass is a living landscape, where shadow and light create encounters that challenge perception and stir the imagination. The logger's axe rests silently, his figure still and unyielding, yet the disturbances he leaves behind remind all who travel the pass that some presences linger long after the labor is done, and some mysteries walk the roads at night, unseen but deeply felt. Berthoud Pass Tunnel lies high in the Colorado Rockies, a narrow passage carved through rock that has challenged travelers for decades. By day, it is a quiet route for those crossing the mountains, the light filtering through its entrance, illuminating the rugged walls and the worn asphalt beneath. By night, the tunnel takes on a different presence, one that is unseen yet deeply felt, as if the stone itself holds memory and secret motion. Drivers have reported a strange phenomenon within the tunnel. A car appears without warning, headlights cutting through the darkness with an intensity that seems almost unnatural. The vehicle moves smoothly, its form momentarily tangible, yet no driver can be seen. The engine hums with life, tires whisper against the worn road, and the air carries the faint scent of exhaust, though no car remains when the moment passes. The first sign is often the glow of headlights, small at first, growing larger as the car emerges from the tunnel walls. As the car passes silently and continues on its course, leaving the tunnel empty once more. Echoes are a consistent part of the experience. The sound of the engine and wheels reverberates off the rock, lingering in the air longer than seems possible. Some travelers say the echoes have a rhythm, a pulse that matches their own heartbeat, amplifying the tension and the awareness of the space around them. The tunnel feels alive during these moments, a conduit for something beyond ordinary experience. Fog and darkness often accompany sightings, heightening the tunnel's spectral quality. Mist clings to the stone walls, diffusing light and obscuring edges. The car appears as if it is moving through a liquid world. Headlights refracting against the moisture in the air. Shadows play across the asphalt, sometimes suggesting movement where there is none. The effect is mesmerizing, a combination of beauty, fear, and curiosity that holds the observer captive. Attempts to follow or approach the vanishing car have never succeeded. Drivers report accelerating, calling out, even stepping from their vehicles, only to find the tunnel empty, the echoes fading, and a chill lingering in the air. The car seems aware of the observer, appearing just beyond reach. A presence that exists momentarily before retreating into the realm of memory and legend. Speculation about the car's origin is wide-ranging. Some suggest it is the ghost of a traveler lost in the tunnel long ago, replaying a journey that ended in tragedy. Others believe it is a residual imprint, energy left behind by countless vehicles that once passed through, taking on a life of its own in the stillness of the night. Whatever the cause, the phenomenon is undeniable to those who witness it, leaving a lasting impression that persists long after the encounter. Whatever the cause, the phenomenon is undeniable to those who witness it, leaving a lasting impression that persists long after the encounter. Whatever the cause, the phenomenon is undeniable to those who witness it, leaving a lasting impression that persists long after the encounter. Whatever the cause, the phenomenon is undeniable to those who witness it, leaving a lasting impression that persists long after the encounter. Whatever the cause, the phenomenon is undeniable to those who witness it, leaving a lasting impression that persists long after the encounter. The tunnel itself enhances the experience. Its narrow walls, the rough-hewn stone, and the sense of isolation contribute to a heightened awareness of sound and movement. The headlights reflect and scatter, creating illusions of distance and speed that blur the line between reality and imagination. Travelers often describe a momentary loss of orientation, a feeling that the tunnel has expanded or shifted in response to the car's presence, as if the space itself is participating in the encounter. Emotions during sightings range from fear to wonder. The sudden appearance of a vehicle moving without a driver evokes primal instincts. A need to respond to danger while simultaneously being drawn toward the impossible. Heartbeats quicken, senses sharpen, and a profound awareness of mortality and mystery fills the space. Witnesses often describe the sensation of sharing the tunnel with another entity, one that is not hostile but utterly beyond comprehension. By morning, the tunnel returns to its ordinary state. Light spills through the entrance, shadows retreat, and the walls once again feel solid and silent. Yet the legend of the vanishing car endures, passed along by those who have seen it and recounted to those who travel the pass after dark. The phenomenon continues to inspire stories, drawing attention to the mystery hidden within the mountains, where the boundaries between the known and unknown are blurred. The vanishing car of Berthoud Pass Tunnel is a presence that defies explanation. An event that bridges time, memory, and perception. It appears and disappears with perfect timing, leaving behind only echoes. A chill, and the lingering certainty that something extraordinary has passed through. Travelers who witness it carry the memory with them. A story of a tunnel that holds secrets. A car that moves without a driver. And a reminder that the mountains are filled with unseen life, waiting to be glimpsed by those who dare to look. In every sighting, there is a lesson and a reminder. The tunnel is a place of passage, danger, and beauty. And the vanishing car is its spectral guardian. A momentary bridge between the living and the unknown. Each journey through birthed past tunnel is ordinary until the extraordinary appears, altering perception, creating memory, and leaving the traveler with the undeniable knowledge that some mysteries are meant to endure. Hoosier Pass rises high into the Rockies, a narrow ribbon of road threading through rugged peaks and steep valleys. By day, the pass is a place of stark beauty, where sunlight glints off snow-dusted cliffs and the wind carries the crisp scent of pine and stone. Shadows shift across jagged ridges, and the landscape stretches seemingly endlessly, a testament to the isolation and raw power of the mountains. Travelers feel both awe and a subtle unease, aware that the pass has seen countless seasons and untold histories. At night, the atmosphere changes. Moonlight casts silver across the road and cliffs, illuminating the pass with an otherworldly glow. The wind whistles through rocky outcrops, carrying a cold that penetrates even the thickest layers. On these nights, some travelers report seeing a figure on the shoulder of the road, standing silently, watching, and waiting. It is a soldier from a forgotten battle, dressed in the uniform of a time long past. His presence is calm, yet carries the weight of a life interrupted, a duty unfulfilled. The soldier does not move toward travelers. He stands rigidly, his gaze fixed, observing without interruption. Some who encounter him describe a feeling of being watched, a presence that is both solemn and distant. The air grows heavier in his vicinity, and the silence of the night feels amplified. Then, as if noticing that someone has seen him, the soldier fades into the moonlit landscape, leaving no trace, no sound, and no footprints behind. Only the memory of his watchful figure remains. Local stories suggest that the soldier is a remnant of a skirmish or battle that history has mostly forgotten. Details vary, some claim he fell in defense of the pass, others say he was a messenger lost to the harsh mountain terrain. Regardless of the specifics, his spirit is said to linger, tied to the land and the events that took place there. His presence serves as a quiet reminder of the past, a sentinel who has not moved on, whose duty continues even in death. The environment of Hoosier Pass contributes to the vividness of the experience. The isolation, the high elevation, and the interplay of moonlight and shadow create conditions in which the human mind is highly attuned to subtle stimuli. The rustle of trees, the echo of distant rockslides, and the shifting patterns of clouds can all appear like movement. Yet countless reports describe the soldier as consistent in form and presence, seen and felt by multiple travelers under varying conditions, making it difficult to attribute the sightings entirely to imagination. Witnesses often describe a mixture of emotions. There is awe at the clarity and realism of the figure, a chill from the sudden awareness of another presence, and a profound sense of history. Travelers who have seen him often recount the experience with reverence, reflecting on the passage of time and the enduring marks of history on the landscape. The soldier is not threatening, yet his appearance carries weight. Observers speak of a heavy stillness, the quiet intensity of someone who has endured and continues to endure beyond the natural limits of life. The soldier's appearance is unpredictable. He may emerge on one shoulder one night and be nowhere to be seen the next. He is tied to the moonlit hours, most commonly observed when the pass is quiet, and the road is empty. There is a rhythm to his sightings, subtle but persistent, as though he patrols the pass in an eternal cycle. Those who encounter him seldom feel fear, but rather a solemn acknowledgement of something beyond the ordinary, a brief communion with the past manifested in the present. Explanations vary. Some suggest that the sightings are the result of natural illusions, heightened by cold air, low light, and fatigue from travel. Others believe the soldier is a manifestation of unresolved history, a spirit bound by loyalty or duty, forever watching over the pass. The consistency and specificity of reports, coupled with the detailed visual experiences described by witnesses, lend credibility to the legend and ensure it endures in local memory. Hoosier Pass remains a passage through natural grandeur and historical resonance. Travelers continue to ascend and descend, often sharing stories of the soldier who watches silently, appearing and fading with the moonlight. His presence transforms a simple journey into a meditation on mortality, duty, and the ways in which the past continues to inhabit the present. Each encounter is brief yet unforgettable, leaving observers with a heightened awareness of the landscape and its hidden stories. The restless soldier of Hoosier Pass is more than a fleeting vision. He is a sentinel, a reminder of the lives and events that shaped this place. His silent watch connects the living to history, offering a glimpse into the endurance of memory and the mysteries that linger along mountain roads. Travelers who encounter him carry the experience forward, retelling the story of a figure who stands alone, vigilant, and eternal, waiting on the shoulder of the pass. A presence that cannot be ignored, and a reminder that some histories never truly fade. Thank you for joining me tonight on Colorado's haunted mountain roads. We have passed curves, cliffs, and foggy passes. We have glimpsed shadows, heard whispers, and felt the presence of those who never left. These roads may appear calm in daylight, but after sunset, they are alive with memories. Memories of accidents, lost travelers, and spirits unable to move on. If you ever find yourself driving along these roads at night, remember the tales of those who came before. Drive carefully. Pay attention to the fog, the cliffs, and the silent figures along the way. Some spirits follow, some watch, and some ride forever. Until next time, stay safe, stay alert, and respect the restless souls of the mountains.